Hey everybody, Jason here. I wanted to shoot a quick video and show you guys some of the stuff that I think can make life a lot easier when you're going racing. And I'm going to share with you a few solutions that I've found that are cheaper or just easier to get your hands on than spending top dollar on some of the name brand equipment. Not that there's anything wrong with that stuff, but I think there are just easier and sometimes better ways of doing stuff. So a quick rundown of what I've got here is a pit light, my pit mat, my tire tub, a quick driver from Ryobi, my Liposac, a Sharpie and some body scissors, calipers, a parts tray, and then my tools and how I carry my tools. So I guess we'll start over here with the light. This is basically just a little light that's actually, it folds open and it's got a little fluorescent light in here, and it just runs on a switch. So when it's plugged in, you just pull it open and it clicks on. Now there are companies out there like OttLight, and there are just different brands. There are really high-end lights by companies like Much More that are all LEDs. But this light is $20. It's actually $21, and you can get it at any Office Max in the desk lamp section, and it works great. I have a couple of them, and you just wrap the cord up and rock and roll. It just does the job really well, and it's really inexpensive. So $20 for an awesome pit light, you can't go wrong there. Now I guess I'm going to jump around here a little bit just to make life easy. But I guess I'll just set the buggy here for now. This little foam block is what I use for a car stand. Now, I have some of the other car stands, like car stands from like Duratrax and Offna and stuff like that. And if I were going to use a plastic one, my favorite one is either like the great big low-C one for an 8-scale buggy or the Offna. The Duratrax I've kind of had some problems with, so I'm not a super big fan of it. But this is really my favorite option because it's cheap and it's super light and it works really well. This is a yoga block. Now, I'm sure you can tell by looking at me that I'm not really big into yoga. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, yoga is basically what men call stretching. If you know what TV show that's from, you're the man. Anyways, it just comes as a square block, and I just took a serrated like a bread knife, and I just took a B4 chassis, laid it on there, and drew it out and cut it to fit. So you can see that it's a pretty good fit. It's pretty easy, works well. And you can get these for like $5 a piece. I bought this one specifically from Five and Below back in Illinois, but you can buy them, I think 2 for $10 at Walmart. You can buy them just about anywhere. Even Amazon, I think you can get them shipped free. So this is what I use for a car stand. This is my tire tub, and this I bought and made from Target. And basically, this is just a cheap Tupperware container. Had a little bit of vacuum in it. Cheap Tupperware container. I went in there and found a brush with a handle on it and just cut it off, dremelled it smooth, and then used a bunch of shoe glue to put it in here. As a fair warning, if you're going to make one of these, and I would, it makes your life a lot easier, make sure that when you shoe glue the brush down, you put a ton of shoe glue in there, put the brush in there, leave the lid off, and leave it for like a week. The first time I did this one, I shoe glued it down, and like a day or so later, I tried filling it up with water. The next morning, the brush was floating. So even though the shoe glue is not really water soluble, it can interfere with its ability to just dry up and cure properly. So if you shoe glue this down, just make sure that you leave it for a while, and it'll be. This one's been together now. Obviously, you can see it's pretty dirty and beat up, but I've been using it for a year and a half. I don't know, maybe 2 years. Here's a tool that not a lot of newer guys have, but these are cheap. This is just a cheap one. I bought this. It says Performance Tool. I think I bought this at like an O'Reilly Auto Parts or something. And it's just a caliper, a vernier caliper, and it reads in both imperial and metric, so it's inches or millimeters, and super handy for just making sure that your shock eyelets aren't threaded on too far or they're on far enough, things like that. Just making sure your camber links are all equal and the same and stuff like that. So definitely worth the $20 to get your hands on one of these. This is kind of a specialized tool that I got. A buddy of mine, I was actually up in Chico for the Worlds mechanicking for a friend of mine. And the guy sitting across from me, super nice guy from Australia, Ari Balka, had this. And I asked him if I could buy it off of him because I hadn't seen one before, and he just gave it to me. I did look, and Much More does sell these. And they even have bigger ones, but they're not cheap. This one's aluminum, and it's about $50. But I also have like little inexpensive ones made by like RPM and RC Car Action, and they're plastic. They work just as good. But having one of these around is really nice because when you're taking different sections of your car apart, it's nice to be able to group the screws together. That way, if you're kind of in a rush putting it back together, you don't kind of have to, hem and haw. This is nice because, especially for 8 scale, not so much for 10 scale and stuff like that, I don't really put my 10 scale stuff together with one of these, but I take it apart quite a bit. It makes things really nice, and this Ryobi one's cheap. It's 29 bucks, and it has an adjustable, like, it's kind of like a, I don't know what you'd really call it. I'm at a loss for words right now, but it's basically like a torque setting. That way you don't strip out screws. The weakest setting really isn't quite weak enough for like a 440 screw or a 3mm screw, unless you're going into a piece of pretty hard plastic or aluminum. But it's definitely perfect for some of the bigger stuff for 8 scale. So one of this can save your wrist. I mean, an 8 scale will just work your forearm to death. Here we have a Liposac, which is cheap, and of course you should run one of these and it's safe. Inside of it, I keep some charge leads and stuff like that, so that I can kind of keep my pit space clear, and I can set the battery out of the way while it's charging. This is kind of a touchy spot. Some people like to use pit towels. I personally like to use these pit mats. This is just a 6-foot yoga mat that I bought from also from 5 and Below for $5. I bought a bunch of these back when I lived in Illinois, and you can buy them in all different colors: blue, red, black. I think they even had green ones. The red was really more of a pink. But anyways, I got a bunch of them. And I got these for $5. So I got a car stand and a pit mat for $5, and it's really the way to go. Now, other companies out there like J Concepts and TLR, they sell basically the same thing. I think it might be just a smidge thicker, but I think they're about 20 or 30 bucks. I'm not real sure, but either way, I paid $5 and I'm super happy with this. Now, I just had the car out because it was sitting on the stand. Now, this is a Plano. This is just a Plano box, and I don't know how much you'll be able to see, so I'll open it up. But I just keep basically some grease in here, some connectors, some different shock pistons and servo pieces, and then A-arms. And this is for my Kyosho stuff, and this is for my associated stuff, and it's pretty handy. So that's the top. Now the inside is basically where I keep all of my tools, and I use like the multi-tool from Associated, and A-Main sells a really nice one with a smaller handle. So if you're doing something like a 50 thousandths, it's made by Align. But basically just stuff like that: tools, pliers, shock tools, battery foams. All my specialty stuff for like turnbuckle wrenches are down here. And then what I did was I just took an extra turnbuckle that I had, and I just put a ball stud in there, and now when I'm at the racetrack, it just stays open on its own. So these Plano cases are like 10 bucks. They're really inexpensive, but it can make your life tremendously easier because all your stuff's just basically together. You're not continuously... I used to just take my tools in and out of my wing tote bag, but you're always putting it in a slot and pulling it out and creating a mess, where this is just, it's all one nice package, and when you want to take your tools with you, you could just throw it in a duffel bag and you're rocking and rolling. So that's about it. I mean, there are some tools, there are some other specialty tools you might want to consider. This is a body reamer, and this one you really can't see. It's actually got millimeter markings, so you know exactly how big the hole is that you're creating. This one's made by Losi. It's one of my favorite tools, or a really useful tool anyways. Some curved Lexan body scissors, because if you've ever cut out a body with some straight scissors, you know how much of a nightmare that can be. Keep a Sharpie around, and of course things like X-Acto knives and stuff like that. They're just invaluable when you're trying to trim something or get rid of some flashing. So that's it. That's what I take racing with me for the most part. At least that's the core of what I take racing with me, and that's a cheap way to do it. An inexpensive Plano box, an inexpensive yoga mat, a yoga block for stretching or whatever, and some other odds and ends. So hope you guys found this useful. If I come up with any other tools or anything else I think you should know, I'll make sure I try and shoot a short video, get you guys in on it. And if you guys have any other tips for people that are seeing this video, throw them in the comments section. I'm always loving to find out new stuff from people about stuff they've used and stuff like that. So hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.